Yes, we're live. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. I already see that some people are already here, have already joined us. Welcome, welcome, Moya Wempel, welcome, Ma, and glad to have you all here today. Today, we're going to be talking about money management and budgeting, right? And we're going to be hitting at some very important things. If you followed us yesterday on Instagram, we talked a lot about why people find it difficult to manage money. If you missed that session on Instagram, please, I would like you to go and catch a replay. It's right there on our Instagram page. You don't want to miss it for anything, right? It's going to give you a good insight into money management from a different perspective. So, like I always say, whenever we're talking about money, we like to look at money here in the Naira Academy from two aspects, two angles, right? I want to look at it from the inner part and the outer part, right? Also, before we go on today, I want to apologize for starting this session late. Um, Apologies for that. All right. So, when we look at money, it's best to look at money from the inner part and the outer part. So we looked at the issues of the inner part of money yesterday um, during the Instagram and Facebook live. So today we're going to be looking at money from the outer part, right? So the inner part has to do with us. The outer part has to do with things we have to learn. The inner part has to do with our behavior. It has to do with our habits, right? It has to do with our programming in our subconscious. The outer part has to do with the things that we have to learn. All right. So today we're going to be talking about money management and budgeting because budgeting is something we have to learn. It's something we have to learn. All right. So we have a course called Money Management 101. It's a place, it's a 3 days course where we're going to be taking your hand and we're going to be taking you through everything about money management. So if you're struggling with money management, that course is for you. Like I always say, the single biggest difference between financial success and financial failure is how well you manage your money, right? How well you manage your money. And it's very simple for you to master money. You must manage money. For you to master money, you must manage it. There are no two ways about it, right? And you don't need to be a financial expert to manage money. You don't. You just need to learn about money and take the small steps to manage your own spending, right? You need to know where your money is going so you can redirect it to where you should go. So managing money is a lot about financial literacy. I still remember in my book, Raising Financially Literate Children, I define financial literacy as the skill necessary to make wise financial decisions when it comes to money. So if you haven't read that book, you're missing something. So financial literacy is about skills. Money management is a skill as well as a habit, right? If you can't manage your money, you cannot create wealth because you need to manage money in order for you to save and invest. Hello, Ma. Welcome, Madam Debbie. Glad to have you here. All right. So you need to manage money if you want to create wealth. So you can't say you've managed money well if you're being wasteful. If you're being wasteful. And that's the problem a lot of us have. The problem we have is that we are wasteful. And we don't even know that we are wasteful with money. Right? We don't even know we're wasteful. And that's why I still insist that the best way to teach children money management is to start with waste management. Right? If a child understands not to waste things, then they will not waste money. It's the same concept, it's the same value, right? That is needed. It's the same discipline. It's the same discipline. So money management is key, very key, and it requires a lot of self-discipline. There are two things critical for you to manage money: self-discipline and delayed gratification. No matter the amount of budgeting skills that you acquire, if you're not disciplined, you will not manage money. You will not. So without delayed gratification, you will not understand the concept of financial freedom. Without self-discipline, right, delayed gratification is impossible. It will feel like a punishment. And without delayed gratification, you will work till the day that you can no longer work anymore. Why? Because it means that you will not affect your plans for your future. It is the decisions you take today that will determine your next 5 years, your next 10 years. Right? So, if you want to attain financial freedom, your decision on money management today will determine if you will attain financial freedom in years to come. And what is financial freedom? In case you've not heard that before, financial freedom is wealth, right? And that's the goal. It is at that point where your passive income is enough to cater for your expenses. That is financial freedom. And for you to get to that point where you have enough passive income to cater for your expenses, it means that you have to save and invest. And if you cannot manage what you earn today, then you cannot save nor invest. You can neither save nor invest, right? And investing and money management is not just financial literacy, right? It is also spiritual if you look at it. For Christians who are here, it's also spiritual. When we say money management requires delayed gratification, we will look at the story of Esau. Esau sold his birthright to his brother Jacob, right? That was an impulsive decision that led Esau to lose his inheritance. An inheritance which would have provided him with long-term benefit. Many of us are very impulsive when it comes to money. They make the impulsive decisions that prevent us from using that money for a long-term gain, for a long-term benefit. So a lot of us lack the same self-discipline that Esau lacked, right? We have the same willingness that he had to sacrifice long-term gains for immediate satisfaction. And that's the same thing that's happening to our finances today. It's the same thing. The same willingness, the same lack of discipline is still finding its way into our lives. So if you're not disciplined enough, right, to endure and delay your gratification and make sacrifices, then there will be no wealth creation for you. Everybody has an opportunity to wealth creation. Everybody, everybody, right? Depending on your various income level. And remember, financial freedom is not statutory. What do I mean? Everybody has their mark for financial freedom. Financial freedom is at the point where you have enough passive income to cater for your expenses. So everybody's expenses differ. Everybody's way of life differs. So for someone, it could be 50 million a year. For another person, it could be 30 million a year. For somebody, it could be 20. For someone else, it could be 100 million. Right? So if you get to that point, if you're able to delay gratification, you're able to save and invest and hit your own mark, then you've attained your own financial freedom. So you cannot use Elon Musk's expenses or his own level of financial freedom to be a benchmark for yours. No, we all have ours. So far, you do not have to use end income to cater for your expenses. You are financially free. You're financially free. But there is no financial freedom without money management. There is none. And that's how important money management is. Hello, ma'am. Laura Akeyode, welcome. That's how important money management is. Because it is the basis. Because it is what will give rise to you having that leverage to invest, to save and invest. And like I always say, that is the problem with most of us when it comes to money. We don't know when, before you know it, we get our salaries, before you know it, it's finished. 2 weeks in, we're waiting for the next salary. For those who do a 30-month calendar. sorry, a 30 days calendar, 1 month calendar. 2 weeks in, you're already looking forward to the next salary. Why? Because you do not understand money management, because you did not plan. Money management is about discipline, it's about delayed gratification, but it's also about planning. Why? Because it's also about budgeting. Budgeting is all about planning, right? Money management is also about simplification. It's living according to your means. It's living below your means. So the only way you can save enough to invest is if you begin to live below your means. If you usually spend 100,000, then you spend 80 and then save the remaining 20,000 and invest it. That is how to do it. It's just simplification. It's just you not yielding to Parkinson's law, right? Because the problem with a lot of us is that we are living large at the detriment of our future. We're living large at the very detriment of our future. In case we've not realized it, if you still have a money management problem, then it means that every day you jeopardize your future. Every day you jeopardize your future. And that future is not far off. It's not. It's not far off at all. So if we must create wealth, right? If we must even live the way we are living today, let your money be wealth. A lot of us live life, we spend money as if we've acquired wealth, unfortunately. And it happens a lot because we do not understand what wealth is. Wealth is not millions and billions in your account from your end income. That's not wealth. Wealth is millions and billions in passive income. Billions and billions generated by your assets, by your investments. That is what is wealth. So until your money becomes wealth, then you need to understand that you've not gotten to the goal. And every time you spend excessively, you're taking yourself further away from the goal. And what is the goal? The goal is to make money without working. And you can do that. You can make money without working. Right? The goal is to make money in your sleep. Wealth is not being rich, it's staying rich. You need to get to a level where you stay rich. It doesn't matter if you work or you do not work anymore, but you will just be rich. Whether you work or not, you stay rich. That's the goal. We need to have the goal in our mind so strong, right, that nothing will sway us away from getting to become better with money. The goal should be so strong in our minds. And money management could happen at any time for you. Financial freedom could happen at any time for you, depending on how well you want to start or how you make your decisions today. Like I always tell people, retirement must not always be at 60. You can retire at 40. You can retire at 50. Depending on how well you have your eyes on the goal. Goal setting, and that's the reason why one of the activities we start doing the Money Click program in the first few weeks is goal setting. Because when you do not, a lot of people do not manage money well because they do not have any goal attached to their money. When you don't have a goal attached, then there is no destination. The goal is the destination. So if you don't have a goal at all, then you don't have a destination. So our long-term goal with money should be financial freedom. That is the destination. And until you get there, there are certain things you need to do away with. There are certain decisions you must not make with money. Right? Until you get there, there are certain sacrifices you have to make. I'm not saying you should deprive yourself, no. But sacrifices does not mean deprivation. Self-discipline is not deprivation. It's not, right? Because a lot of times we get carried away with what the goal is. A lot of times we don't even have a goal at all. And that's the reason why at old age, a lot of people find themselves at crossroads. I keep telling this story about a friend of mine that growing up in those days in Jos, the father would attend a wedding with a new car. If you invite him for a wedding, he comes with a brand new car. He was rich. What I mean, he was very rich. But at the same time, he did not understand the goal for money. So none of that money was translated to wealth. And he had money management issues. Today, at old age, he can't afford his own medications. Somebody who had access to that much money. See, lack of money management and investing knowledge is the reason why we hear about a lot of people who used to have money. Used to. If you know what you're doing, if you have the right education, right? If you have the right mindset, if you have the right money habits, then there's no way you're going to come in contact with a lot of money and you would have to tell stories about it eventually in the future. No, because the money will remain with you. So you cannot manage, if you cannot manage money, you cannot create wealth. It's not a cause, it's just a fact. And that's the reason why if you're here and you're not in the Money Click program, then you're making a huge mistake. Because you need to be in the Money Click program and begin your journey to changing your mindset about a lot of things concerning money management. Like I say, one of the biggest gifts the Money Click program will give you is a change in mindset. And that's the goal. The goal is to change your mindset. See, until your mindset changes, that is when the knowledge will make sense to you. So we need to understand, we need to change our mindset. We need to live within our means. If possible, live below it. Right? We need to understand when we're even going above our means. Sometimes we don't even know. We're spending so much money. Maybe we're even providing for our children. We don't realize that, oh, we're going well above where we should be. Most of us think we can afford a lot of things. Why? Because we don't have a goal. Investing does not exist in our dictionaries. So all the money we have is available for spending. We send our children to schools we can't afford. We live a lifestyle we can't afford. We live in places where we can't afford. So money management is the basics. Is the basics. If you do not understand money management today, then you're setting yourself up to fail at retirement. You're setting yourself up. And like I always say, if your plan for retirement is your children, then you're making the biggest mistake of your life. I still had this conversation with someone just a few days ago, and the person was still telling me that somebody close to her still had this mindset that all he wants is for his children to one day come back and take care of him. If your plan is for your children to come back in return and take care of you at old age, you're making the biggest mistake ever. See, what your children will give to you is Najara, but you should have a plan for yourself. How do you join the Money Click program? We would have that information in the link. We'll have that information on how to join the Money Click program in the comment section very soon. Someone will be posting it, how you can join the Money Click program, right? And it's very simple to join, and all the details will be made available very soon. So if your plan for retirement is just your children, right? If your plan for retirement is just your children, then you're making a huge mistake. You're making a very big mistake. Also, for the person who asks how to join the monthly program, it's also scrolling on your screen. Yes, I can see it scrolling on your screen, and you can get the information from there as well. You can get the information from there. All right. So the way a lot of us were raised, the mindset that our parents had was that they will raise us, they will take care of us, and in return, we will come back and we'll take care of them. Right? And guess what? That puts a lot of pressure on so many of us. A lot of pressure. Now, the question is, why do we want to continue the same cycle and put the same pressure on our children? And remember, times have changed. Times have changed. It's not even easier for the children that are becoming adults today. So we need to take out of our minds that our children will take care of us at old age. They will, yes, but that is not a plan. Have a plan for your old age. What if your children refuse to take care of you at old age? What if your children have other plans for themselves? What if it doesn't work out for them the way you expected? So you need to have a plan for yourself. You need to have a plan. Right? You need to have a plan for yourself. And that plan for retirement, that plan starts with understanding money management. That's the basics. That's where the plan starts from. It's how it's understanding money management. You need to start planning. And planning money management starts with what you have, not what you don't have. Not what you don't have. It starts with the income you're receiving today. It doesn't matter how you see it. Sometimes some people see their income as not being enough. Right? And like I always say, if you cannot manage 100,000, you cannot manage 1 million. And the reason being that money management is a habit. If you have the habit of mismanaging little, the habit will still play out when you have more. You will still mismanage more. If you learn and inculcate the habit of managing the little you have, you will manage more and more comes. Right? You will even give room for more to come. So it's key that we take this thing of money management seriously. It's very, very important. Very important that we take this message of money management with everything. Right? Because money, like I always say, money is 40% what you know, 60% how you behave. Money management is also 60% how you behave, 40% what you know. And the habits that we have are at the roots of how we behave. Our behavior is determined by our habits. Our habit is determined by the patterns that we repeat. I wrote about this substantially in my book, Raising Financially Literate Children. So if you have a pattern of spending, then you're building a habit of spending. If you have a pattern that whenever you have little money, all you do is you spend it, then you're just building a pattern. You're forming a habit. The same habit will play out when you have a lot more. That's why when I hear people say, I'm just looking to get more income, then things will get better. No. Things need to start getting better with what you have already. If not, more income will not make any difference. More income will go down the drain where your habit has taken the small income if you do not change things. Money management is a lot about you. Right? If you change you, your money management story will change. So it's all about you. So you need to work on you. You need to work on your discipline. You need to work on on how to delay your gratification, right? You need to work on your knowledge as well. You need to work on your knowledge. So if you're waiting to hit big money someday before you start money management, you're creating a pattern and a habit of mismanagement. I'll say it again. And so even if you eventually hit the big money, you'll mismanage it. You mismanage it. So that's why when you're earning little, all you're thinking is when you start earning more, your finances will improve. But eventually, you start earning that more, and the problem still persists. The problem is you. The problem is your patterns. The problem is your habits, your money behavior. The problem is your lack of money management. So it's either you control your money or your money will control you, right? But for you to control your money, then you must manage it. You must manage it. We've seen a lot of dividends of poor money management, right? We've seen people who come to win lotteries. Less than 6 years down the line, after winning lottery, they go back to where they came from, to start to school. Why? Because of poor money management. See, managing money has a lot to do with your capacity. If you don't have the capacity to manage a lot of money, even if you hit off a lot of money, you will waste it. They will all go. So I always talk about this like, imagine having a glass cup, right? Now, if you fill that glass with more water than it can contain, what is going to happen? The rest will spill. The glass can only take what it is it can contain. So we are like the glass. We can only take as much money, can only keep rather as much money as we can according to our capacity. So if you want to keep more money, what do? You increase your capacity. You go from a small glass to a bigger one, to a big bowl, to a drum. You keep increasing your capacity. How do you increase your capacity? By working on yourself. That's how you increase your capacity. But if you do not increase your capacity, then you will not hold on to more money. That's the reason why you see people, and see, anybody can make money. Making money is simple. It's easy to make money. If you have the right skills, you apply the principles, you will make money. But not anybody can hold on to money. Not anybody can manage money. Like we always say that any fool can make money, but not everybody can manage money. Why? Because at the point of managing, then comes your capacity. How big is your glass? How big is your container? How big are you? We see quite a lot of people every day who come in contact with quite a lot of money. And before you know it, they've lost it. Or why? Because their capacity, their container, they were too small for the money they came in contact with. It has also happened to some of us today who are watching. If we look back in time and see the amount of money that have come in contact with us, take some time and review your account statement. Then you will see the amount of money you've come in contact with. Then you will realize that the problem has been that your capacity to manage that money was not as much as the money that you came in contact with. So what do you need to do? You need to increase your capacity. And as I keep saying, you need to be in the Money Click program. You need to learn. See, you need to learn how to increase your capacity, both inner word and outer word. It's key. Both inner word and outer word. And trust me, the Money Click program is where you understand how to approach it inward. And that's why yesterday in that Instagram live class, I tried to give some tips on how to look at money management inward. While looking at why money management is hard for a lot of people, we looked at things like people's money blueprints, people's programming, how people have been programmed to manage money. See, if your problem with money management is your programming, then you will need more than just learning budgeting skills to get better with managing money. We looked at things like victim culture. We looked at things like lack of purpose. We looked at things like addictions like gambling. We looked at things like emotions, lifestyle. So it's very, very, very important that we approach this matter both inwardly and outwardly. But here today, we're going to be looking at the outward approach. And that's why we're going to be talking about budgeting. Right? Budgeting. So, one fact about money is that a lot of us earn enough for the stage where we are in life. The problem we have is lack of planning, right? Lack of discipline and our lifestyle. Some people's lifestyle is 5 years ahead of them. Unfortunately, 5 years ahead of their income. Right? So many people battle with money management because they don't have a good understanding of personal finance and budgeting. Because sometimes we neither have a plan for our money nor know where our money goes. So a budget is a plan for your money, right? A plan on how to use your money, a plan on how to keep the money, a plan on how and where to send the money to. Budgeting is one of the core of money management. See, if you can't budget, you can't manage. But yes, budgeting, following a budget is dependent on discipline, a whole lot on discipline. It's one thing to create the budget, it's one thing to follow the budget, right? Following the budget, adhering to it, right? Being accountable to your budget, has a lot to do with your self-discipline as a person, right? So budgeting sometimes is not even the issue. The main issue is following the budget. The main issue is lack of discipline, because it takes a lot of discipline to follow a budget. It takes a lot of discipline to tell yourself, I will only use 5% of my money for entertainment, and you stick to it. It requires discipline to say, I will only eat out once this month, and you stick to it. Right? So what most of us is lacking is not budgeting skills per se, but self-discipline. And that's the reason why I say, if you don't approach money from the inward and the outward approach, then you're making a huge mistake. Because what happens most times is that most people just approach money from the outward part. You just go ahead and teach people how to budget and you leave them. You haven't solved the problem. Because knowledge about budgeting is almost everywhere. You can find it on the internet. Right? And this reason is the reason why we always start our classes in the Money Click. Our second class in the Money Click is about self-discipline. Self-discipline. When we started the Money Click this year, for those who just joined us, and we had the class on self-discipline. Before the class, a lot of people were wondering, what is the business with self-discipline and money? But by the time we finished, they realized that, okay, now, having gone months, they have seen the reason why self-discipline is key on your money journey. It's very key. Self-discipline is key to financial achievements. Right? So, since we've established that it's difficult to follow a budget because most of us are indisciplined, how do we now help ourselves, right, to follow one, right? So it's very important that to help ourselves from the outward part, we set a realistic budget. We make our budget to be as realistic as possible. Don't go and budget 20K for transportation when you know you need 40K. You're not going to trek to work. Right? So budgeting is also a core of financial discipline. And the aim of budgeting is to avoid wastes. That's the aim of budgeting. Is to avoid wastes. See, when you do not budget properly and stick to it, there is usually the most common outcome usually is debt. You find yourself in debt. You find yourself in debt. When you do budgeting properly the way you're supposed to do it, the outcome is savings. And like I said earlier, the aim of savings is not to have money in the bank. The aim of savings is to have leverage for investing. Right? Is to have leverage for emergency funds. Now, there are different types of budgeting methods. We have the 50, 30, 20 budgets. We have the pay yourself method. we have the sub-saving account method, we have the envelope or cash only budget, we have the zero-based budget, right? Now, I'm only going to talk about one, right? If you want to know more, I'll be explaining in depth all the types of budgeting, right? Budgeting methods in the upcoming course, Money Management 101. Admin, please put the details in the comments. Please, the Money Management 101 is coming up in just a few weeks' time, and it is your gateway to understanding money management, right? So I'm only going to talk about one money management method, which is the envelope method. Why? Because it is one method that would always help you. For those who are indisciplined, it will help you a lot. What is the envelope method? The envelope method is putting your budget, all your money budgeted for different categories in an envelope. In an envelope. So instead of using your debit cards, right, you allocate your income into different categories of spending. Then you withdraw the cash allocated for each category and you put them into the envelopes, right? So by doing so, anytime you want to buy an item in a category, you only take cash from the designated envelope, so you don't overspend. The problem most times when with some other budgeting methods that you have to draw from one account is that sometimes you don't know when you overspend on a certain category because everything is coming from one account. So you might overspend on eating out without even knowing. Then you eat into another budget. And because you've eaten into another budget, you would have to spend more money again. And before you know it, just going way above your budget. But when you use an envelope method and you put the cash in envelopes, then you know when you're overspending from one category or the other. Now, for those that have subscriptions that have to go through your account, then you can pay straight from your account and you don't have any business withdrawing it and putting it inside an envelope, right? For example, you pay for Netflix, for example, you don't have to withdraw the money. So you just leave it in your account so that the money goes through your account. But for day-to-day running activities, you withdraw the money, put it in cash, and keep it in an envelope, right? By so doing, you would help yourself become much more accountable. Very much more accountable. This is one method that works for people who have come to identify that they have issues with self-discipline. It will help you a lot, right? Um, it will help you a lot, and because budgeting is key, right? Um, Another very integral part of budgeting is creating the budget. Creating the budget. See, if you must get hold of your finances, then you need to control your spending by, starting to create one, to create a budget. So, and a budget to put you in a better control. If you use the right budget for you, the problem with a lot of times is not understanding the budgeting method that is meant for you. Like I told you earlier, if you're somebody who struggles with self-discipline, right, then it's not enough for you to just tell yourself that you want to use 50, 30, 20. It's not enough for you. It's even worse. It's even worse for you that you probably want to use the 80-20 budget method. Because the problem we have is discipline. Yes, it would help you. If you use the 80-20, for example, it would help you put your money aside. That 20% for savings, you can put it aside. But the remaining 80, you won't be able to strictly adhere to how you're supposed to spend it. So the envelope method will be your best bet. You will ensure that you do not rob one category and undercharge another category, or overcharge another category at the expense of another one, rather. Right? So you need to know the budgeting method that works for you. Right? And if you want to know more about it, if you want to know more on how to even get on creating a budget, right? Because creating the budget is a process. It's a process. When we started the Money Click program, we had an activity to calculate our net worth, right? A similar thing happens when you're creating a budget. The first thing you need to do is to calculate your net income. You need to know what is coming in. The next thing you need to do is to track your spending. You need to know what is going out, right? When you do that, that's when you begin to set goals. It is your goal that would guide your budget. If you don't have a financial goal, then your budgeting would not be balanced. So after you create the budget, then you now set up a plan. That is where the main budgeting work starts, right? That's where the main budgeting work starts. But it's not enough to just do the budgeting alone, right? It's also, you need to understand that you must ensure to adjust your expenses to match your budget. But you must to ensure also that you have to review your budget frequently, right? Your budget must be flexible. It has to be very flexible. So you must always go back and review. You must always go back and review, right? We'll be going in depth into all this in the Money Management 101 course, right? And also as part, being a part of that course is going to give you access to our free budgeting tools as well, right? If you know somebody who is already a member of the Money Click, go and make the person a friend. Why? Because Money Click members have a rebate on the Money Management 101 course, right? They have a huge discount that applies to both their family and their friends. Okay, so if you know someone who is already in the Money Click, before you get in, you can go through them to access that discount to be in the Money Management 101 course, right? Also in that course, we're going to be sharing with you wonderful tips that will help you stick to your budget. Remember, the problem is not creating a budget. The problem is sticking to the budget, right? And in that course, we'll give you all the secrets to sticking to a budget, because that is the crux of the matter. All right. So this is what we're going to end it for today. And thank you very much for joining us. If you're not yet in the Money Click program, then you're missing a lot, right? If you're not yet in the Money Management 101 course, that is your first step, right, to start your journey to managing money, right? If you have any questions, you can always bring them across to us. We'll be happy. We are always happy to take your questions, okay? You can reach us, put your questions here in the comments on YouTube, or you can reach us on our social media pages at the Naira Academy, right? We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on Threads, we're on TikTok. You can reach us across all social media platforms. You can also reach us on WhatsApp, right? So thank you very much for being here with us today. Please do us one favor before you go. Just share this live class. Share this link among your contacts. People can also come and get this information that we are sharing here today. Remember, if you're not managing money, you are not setting yourself up to retire well. You're not setting yourself up to be on the path to financial freedom. Money management is your gateway to save and invest and be on the path to financial freedom. Thank you very much, Madam Laura Akeyode, for being here. And thank you very much, everyone who has made that time to be here this afternoon. My name remains Chukwemeka Oyenizi, and I'm the founder of the Naira Academy. I am your world-class financial planner. I'll be with you same time next week, right here on YouTube. Wednesdays, 12 noon Nigerian time on Instagram. Thank you very much. Madam Emily says, thank you. My key takeaway is managing money has a lot to do with capacity. Yes, it has a lot to do with capacity. The more you increase your capacity, the more money you can manage, right? Always remember, when you hit more money than your capacity can take, you will lose it, right? So every day, all you have to do is to ensure that you position yourself to be in the capacity to receive as much money that can come your way, because they will come. It will come, right? So the question is, are you prepared for it? If you're not prepared for it, then you would likely lose it, right? So get on that journey to keep increasing your capacity to manage more and more and more money. Have a good day, everyone, and remain blessed. Bye bye.